America's Pop Culture Trivia Show.
Check it out.
America's Pop Culture Trivia Show. With Joe Parisi.
Welcome into episode 108 of America's Pop Culture Trivia Show. I'm Joe Parisi. I've put together 3 rounds of fast-paced pop culture trivia for you. 7 questions in each of the 3 rounds with just 5 seconds between questions for you to try and think of the answer. At the end of each round, after the 7th question, we'll go right back over everything you were just asked, and I'll tell you all of the answers. The categories for today's episode will go as follows. Music for round 1, general pop culture knowledge for round number 2, and television for round 3. Good luck. Now let's play.
Round 1.
Round 1, like I said, is our music round, and today we're focusing on songs that held the number 1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 charts in the month of January throughout the 90s. Okay? Very simple. Question 1. For the week of January 27th, 1996, it was a duet from Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men in that number 1 spot. What was the name of that song? Question 2. The number 1 song for the week of January 29th, 1994 was a power ballad called All for Love. This song was by 3 popular male artists who teamed up together for the song. It was Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and who? Question 3. Unbreak My Heart was the number 1 song for the last week of January 1997. What female artist gave us that song? Unbreak My Heart. Question 4. Everywhere I go, every smile I see, I know you are there, smiling back at me. The number 1 song during the last week of January 1998 was called Together Again. What artist gave us that song? Question 5. The final week of January 1990 saw a song in the number 1 spot called How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? What artist is responsible for that song? Question 6. The number 1 song to close out January 1993 was a soundtrack song that would end up spending 10 weeks in the number 1 spot. It was a cover of a Dolly Parton song from 1973. The artist who recorded the song was also the star of the movie that it was featured in. Name the artist behind the number 1 song that final week of January 1993. And question 7. For the last week of January 1999, the number 1 song was the debut single from Britney Spears. Name that song. And that's going to do it for round number 1. Let's see how you did. We were just focusing in on the songs that held that number 1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 in January throughout the 90s. Specifically, I narrowed it down to the very last week of January because as I sit and record this, it is the very last week of January. Question number 1. For the week of January 27th, 1996, it was a duet from Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men in that number 1 spot. What was the name of that song? One Sweet Day. Question 2. The number one song for the week of January 29th, 1994 was a power ballad called All for Love. This song was done by 3 popular male artists who had teamed up together. It was Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and who? Sting. Question 3. Unbreak My Heart was the number one song the last week of January 1997. What female artist gave us that song? That is Toni Braxton. Question 4. Everywhere I go, every smile I see, I know you are there smiling back at me. The number one song during the last week of January 1998 was called Together Again. What artist gave us that song? That's Janet Jackson. Question 5. The final week of January 1990 saw a song in the number one spot called How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? What artist is responsible for that song? That would be Michael Bolton. So Michael Bolton and a songwriting partner of his named Doug James wrote that song all the way back in 1982. And the Australian duo Air Supply was actually supposed to record it. When they went to record it, I guess they had purchased the song. They go to record it, and they decided they wanted to change some of the lyrics. And Michael Bolton said, no, not happening. So they passed on it. Then Laura Branigan went ahead and recorded it and scored a hit. Laura Branigan, the one who did Gloria, she's got a version of that song, and her version of it was really the first major hit for Michael Bolton and Doug James as a songwriting duo. Then, of course, Michael Bolton himself recorded it in 1990, and that version ended up being the most successful version of How Am I Supposed to Live Without You to date. Question 6. The number one song to close out January 1993 was a soundtrack song that would spend 10 weeks in that number one spot. It was a cover of a Dolly Parton song from 1973. The artist who recorded the song was also the star of the movie that it was featured in. Name the artist behind the number one song in that final week of January 1993. And that artist would be Whitney Houston. And we're talking about I Will Always Love You from the Bodyguard soundtrack. So Whitney Houston is your answer. Final question, question 7. For the last week of January 1999, the number one song was the debut single from Britney Spears. Name that song. That is Baby One More Time. Something I noticed when I was putting this round together, going through these old Billboard charts, which is something that I am so fascinated with doing. I love looking back on a very particular moment in history, like a given week from 25 years ago, and being able to go back and see, okay, that was the number one song, that was the number two song, this is the top 20. Well, for that particular week, the last week of January 1999, as I'm looking over it, it is the murderer's row of all-time great female vocalists. Listen to all these names who were on songs that were in the top 20 for that week alone. Shania Twain, Cher, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Lauryn Hill, Sarah McLachlan, Jewel, Monica, Celine Dion, Deborah Cox, Brandy, and Britney Spears. I don't think you will find a particular week in the history of the Billboard charts with a more impressive list of female vocalists dominating the top 20. That is an incredible list of names.
Round 2.
Round 2 is a general pop culture knowledge round. Question number 1. In what New York City would you find the National Baseball Hall of Fame? Question 2. In what city would you find the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Question 3. Which Nirvana album gave the band their only Grammy win? Question 4. Bryan Cranston won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series 4 times for his portrayal of what character? Question 5. A 1995 romantic action thriller film that starred Cindy Crawford as attorney Kate McQueen and Billy Baldwin as Florida police officer Max Kirkpatrick. The film was considered a box office bomb, bringing in $11.5 million against a $50 million production budget. What was this film called? Question 6. When people start throwing around names of old-time baseball legends, the name Ty Cobb is almost always in the conversation. Ty Cobb spent 22 seasons with one particular team. What team was it? And question number 7. This famous painter was known for his brilliantly colored expressionist paintings and screen paintings of athletes, musicians, and sporting events. He was usually seen sporting his large signature mustache. He played a ring announcer in several of the Rocky films. Name this artist. And that's going to do it for round number 2. We really covered some ground on this one, bounced all around. Let's see how you did. Question 1, in what New York City would you find the National Baseball Hall of Fame? Cooperstown. Question 2, in what city would you find the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That is in Cleveland. Question 3, what Nirvana album gave the band their only Grammy win? That would be 1994's MTV Unplugged in New York. That album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, and in the years since, it has been certified 8 times multi-platinum. That performance in that album gave us 14 songs. So if you bought the CD, there were 14 tracks on it. 5 of the 14 were covers. Did you know that? Jesus Doesn't Want Me for a Sunbeam was a song by a group called The Vaselines. The Man Who Sold the World is a David Bowie song. Plateau, On Me, and Lake of Fire were all Meat Puppets songs. And interestingly enough, they did not play Smells Like Teen Spirit at that performance. Kind of a power move to not do that. Question number 4. Bryan Cranston won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series 4 times for his portrayal of what character? Walter White from Breaking Bad. Question 5. A 1995 romantic action thriller film that starred Cindy Crawford as attorney Kate McQueen and Billy Baldwin as Florida police officer Max Kirkpatrick. The film was considered a box office bomb, bringing in $11.5 million against a $50 million production budget. What was this film called? The answer is Fair Game. Question 6. When people start throwing around the names of old-time baseball legends, the name Ty Cobb is almost always in the conversation. Ty Cobb spent 22 seasons with one particular team. What team was it? The Detroit Tigers. In 1936, Ty Cobb received the most votes of any player on the inaugural Baseball Hall of Fame ballot, receiving 222 out of a possible 226 votes. Question 7. This famous painter was known for his brilliantly colored expressionist paintings and screen paintings of athletes, musicians, and sporting events. He was usually seen sporting his large signature mustache. He played a ring announcer in several of the Rocky films. Name the artist. That is Leroy Neiman.
Round 3.
Your third and final round on episode 108 is a television round. Good luck. Question 1. On Roseanne, what is the name of the actress that played Roseanne's sister Jackie? Question 2. Jerry Lewis began hosting telethons to benefit what organization starting back in 1952? These telethons would continue on for decades. What was the benefiting organization? Question 3. On Roseanne, what is the name of the actress that played Darlene? Question 4. For 30 years, from 1962 to 1992, he was Johnny Carson's on-air sidekick and announcer. Name him. Question 5. A music comedy drama series that aired on Fox from 2009 to 2015 that centered on a group called the New Directions at the fictional William McKinley High School. Name the show. Question 6. A sitcom that aired on UPN from 1999 to 2004 that was a spin-off of Moesha. Remember the show Moesha? This show starred Countess Vaughn as Kim Parker and Monique as Nikki Parker. Name the show. And question 7. If I told you the name of the main character, it would give away the answer. But on what show that aired from 2000 to 2006 would you have found the following characters? Hal, Lois, Francis, Reese, and Dewey. What show? That's going to wrap up round number 3. Let's check your television answers. Question 1. On Roseanne, what was the name of the actress that played Roseanne's sister Jackie? That is Laurie Metcalf. Question 2. Jerry Lewis began hosting telethons to benefit what organization starting back in 1952? These telethons would continue on for decades, but what was the benefiting organization? The answer is the MDA, the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Question 3, back on Roseanne, what was the name of the actress that played Darlene? That is Sarah Gilbert. Question 4, for 30 years, from 1962 to 1992, he was Johnny Carson's on-air sidekick and announcer. Name him. That is Ed McMahon. Question 5, a music comedy drama series that aired on Fox from 2009 to 2015 that centered on a group called the New Directions at the fictional William McKinley High School. Name that show. That's Glee. Question 6, a sitcom that aired on UPN from 1999 to 2004 that was a spin-off of Moesha. The show starred Countess Vaughn as Kim Parker and Monique as Nikki Parker. Name the show. That show was called The Parkers. Steve Harvey would pop up on there from time to time. Question 7. If I told you the name of the main character, it would give away the answer. But on what show that aired from 2000 to 2006 would you have found these characters? Hal, Lois, Francis, Reese, and Dewey? The answer? Malcolm in the Middle. The writers and producers of Malcolm in the Middle never gave the family an official last name. Now, if you're a sleuth like me, you will know this, that there was a last name originally attached to this family, and that last name can be found on some early drafts of some episodes and some early promotional material. But that last name was completely wiped out before the show ever went to air, for whatever reason. But stuff that you can find out there will tell you their last name was going to be Wilkerson. So what could have been was Malcolm Wilkerson in the Middle. I'm Joe Parisi. This has been episode 108 of America's Pop Culture Trivia Show. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to do me a quick favor, you can leave the show a rating and review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. If they let you do the rating and review thing, I would greatly appreciate it. If you guys ever want to reach out, I am on Instagram at Joe Parisi VO. I am on TikTok at Joe Parisi VO, and my official website, which you can also email me through, is joeparisivoiceover.com. Thank you guys for listening. Let's get together and do this again soon, huh?
America's Pop Culture Trivia Show with Joe Parisi.